Hello everyone! Now that we've covered dependent and independent clauses, the 4 types of sentences, and the 9 comma rules, it is time to look at the most common errors that college students, and most people really, tend to have with sentence structure: fragments, comma splices, and fused sentences. When we write, we may start a line with a capital letter and end it with a period. That doesn't necessarily mean that the line meets the definition of a sentence. So when is a sentence not a sentence? A complete sentence is a clause or group of clauses that stand on its own as a complete thought. So a basic sentence contains at least 2 parts: a subject, the noun doing the action, and a verb, the action. It may also have an object, that is the noun that is acted upon. For example, in the simple sentence, the bat hit the ball, the bat is the subject, hit is the verb, and the ball is the object. In our previous lesson, we saw that there are 4 types of sentences. All 4 of these contain at least one independent clause. When a part of a basic sentence pattern is missing and it cannot stand on its own, we call this an incomplete sentence or a fragment. Here are the most common types of fragments. The first type of fragment is missing the subject. In this example, we do not know who or what is doing the action of slid. The second type is missing the verb. This entire group of words is working together to serve as the subject of the sentence. While it provides us more description about which robot we're talking about, it does not tell us what the robot is doing. The third type of fragment is a dependent clause. As we mentioned previously, these can usually be identified by the use of relative pronouns and subordinating conjunctions. These contain a subject and a verb, but they cannot stand on their own without an independent clause. The final type of fragment is a phrase. These can act as nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs in the sentence, but they cannot stand on their own. They must be included as part of an independent clause. Fixing these is as simple as adding what is missing. If there is no subject, let the reader know who or what is doing the action. Who slid down the hill? Dex did. If there is no verb, give us an action. What did the robot do? It suddenly came out of the woods and it surprised Dex. If you have a dependent clause, connect it to an independent clause. What happened when they entered the cave? And if you only have a phrase, plug it into the independent clause so it can serve its function. In this case, it is providing additional information about where the robots live. Take a few minutes to review these fragments. Identify what is missing and come up with some possible fixes. Here are the answers. Note, there are other ways to fix these sentences. The first is missing a subject, so we can add Dex to indicate who is laying and contemplating. The second is missing the verb. The ing word, biking, acts as a noun in this case. This is called a gerund. So what does this activity do? It makes Dex feel alive. The third example is a phrase, specifically a prepositional phrase, telling us where something was going. The fourth example is missing the verb. The whole first part works together to tell us about the subject of the ox bite. The final one is a dependent clause, which we can identify from the use of since and fix by adding a related independent clause. Sometimes we have perfectly fine complete sentences. However, we connect them incorrectly. These are called run-on sentences, and there are 2 major types. Fused sentences connect independent clauses without including the appropriate punctuation. Comma splices connect independent clauses with just a comma. A fused sentence smashes together independent clauses without any punctuation. No periods, no commas, no semicolons, nothing. To fix a fused sentence, you need to identify the clauses, both dependent and independent. In this example, we have 2 independent clauses and 1 dependent clause. Once you identify the clauses, there are 2 ways to fix it: add a period or use a comma and a coordinating conjunction. For this example, the dependent clause, while Dex was climbing the hill, has to be attached to one of the dependent clauses. You have to decide which one you think it relates to more. I decided that it should go with "it began to rain" because it explains when the rain occurred. But I can see arguments for putting it with the other independent clause, "they slid down." A comma splice is when you connect two independent clauses together with just a comma. Commas are not strong enough to do this. To fix a comma splice, first you need to identify the clauses. In this example, we just have two independent clauses. Then you can add a strong stop between the two independent clauses with a period. If the two independent clauses are related to each other, then you can use a comma and a coordinating conjunction to create a compound sentence, or you can use a semicolon. Connecting two closely related independent clauses is the main use of the semicolon punctuation. Think about how you would fix these run-on sentences. Where are they missing commas? Where do they need to be separated? Remember, there is more than one right answer. Here are some possible revisions. It is possible to rephrase some of these sentences entirely, but these minor punctuation changes fix the error just as easily. If you have any questions or would like to set up a Zoom conference, please contact me at mohondoylek@apsu.edu.